Welcome to TechVets, the podcast, a show dedicated to exploring the world of tech and cybersecurity through the eyes of industry leaders and ex-forces personnel. We'll delve into the top issues that are shaping global tech debate, and we'll hear real-life stories from the people who are driving forward with careers in a global cybersecurity market that's projected to reach £210 billion by 2026. In this show, we are discussing gender equality in cyber and tech jobs, Capture the Flag, the future of the UK tech industry, and why ex-forces people can play a significant role in this growing sector. Joining us today is TechVets CEO and former soldier James Murphy, alongside Rhianna King, also a forces veteran and currently a leading cyber threat intelligence analyst for CGI. James, can you tell me what is TechVets and what does it do?
Yeah, absolutely. So TechVets is a non-profit. We exist as a bridge for veterans and service leavers into cybersecurity and technology careers. We offer a number of services, all of which are 100% free of charge for all of our members. And this has been possible because we've managed to build some fantastic partnerships along the way. But also there's a great deal of passion and drive and purpose behind TechVets, supporting veterans and in doing so supporting the UK's tech economy by placing some great skilled people into the right jobs. And we've been helped by the Royal Foundation, ARC Data Centres and Tech UK along the way to build what we have built so far. Of the services we provide, the key ones, I suppose, are first and foremost our unique selling point. It's our community. Our online community is on Discord. And that has veterans, serving members, which includes reservists, service leavers, and those that are currently still serving in a long time before they leave. But also many of our veterans are experienced in cyber or technology careers, which is great because they give back, and that community, that experience that we have within it really helps people make the right choices, get the right advice at the right times, and debunk all of those myths, etc. So really good knowledge sharing. And we have 12 active local chapters across the UK. And then to top that off, once people know what they're doing, they can access the leading cybersecurity training that we have, both internally that we've produced, but also through partnerships. Veterans Digital Cyber Academy, provided by Immersive Labs. We have our Fortinet Network Security Academy through our partnership with Fortinet, and Splunk training through our Splunk partnership. Additionally, we have TryHackMe. We have a load of other industry partners, some of which are ad hoc, that provide us a lot of access, free content and support because they appreciate the skills that veterans bring and they understand the benefit that businesses will take from them. And then the final piece of the puzzle will be how we help them get jobs. And we have a ready-made network for them. And additionally, we provide them CV support and interview support channels, and we have access to our Crest CV member CV service, which enables our CVs to go out to the hundreds of Crest member companies across the UK, all of which, like I said, is free. So it's a great pathway for people to get involved in.
How many people have you found jobs for?
So during COVID was a particularly difficult time, actually, and I've been in the role for a year now. It'll be a year towards the end of this month. But even with the pressures of COVID, we were supporting on average 6 people a month into jobs, which was pretty incredible. And we're still going. We've had 3 placed already this month, and some of those are direct through our engagement with hiring managers who come direct to me to post their jobs on our jobs board. Some have just received all the support they needed from us in order to get their foot in the door.
Rhianna, how did you come across TechVets? How did you first find it?
It was actually recommended to me from someone else who just left the services, and they found it really useful and supportive network to be a part of. And yeah, it really is. I think, as James mentioned, all of the resources we've got available to us that could cost a fortune if you were trying to fund them yourself. And the network is invaluable. Just being able to put a message in the chat and just ask if anyone else has experienced something or if anyone else has tried using a certain tool before. It's an invaluable network.
Now, you're currently a cyber threat intelligence analyst, aren't you, for CGI? I know you're going to move on to a new job in a moment or two. Can you just tell me what your job entails?
Yeah, so cyber threat intelligence is relatively new to the cybersecurity field. And generally, we just want to understand any threats to our organisation's technology environment, and understand threat actors, motives, capabilities, TTPs, which can then inform our stakeholders' decision making and help us prevent future attacks rather than just being reactive and responding to any attacks we see. If we can advise our SOC that we need to put in certain defences ahead of time, they can actually help prevent attacks, which is obviously quite handy. It's kind of similar to military intelligence in a way. It's just that the adversaries that you're tracking and the weapons they're using are slightly different. So generally, there's kind of two areas of CTI. You can either work for a managed security services provider, which will cover multiple clients, each perhaps working in different sectors and with different technologies they're working with. Or you could be part of an internal CTI team where you're literally just focused on your organisation, so you know your tech stack in and out. You're only focusing on threat actors targeting a specific sector because that's all you're concerned with. I currently work at an MSSP CTI team, and my day today is generally coming in and evaluating the general threat landscape using some OSINT feeds I have. Then I'll work on our threat intelligence platform, which we have our clients onboarded onto, and we triage and investigate any alerts that have triggered for that. We then perform any research that might be relevant for that client. Say there's an emerging threat from a specific threat actor, or say there's a new vulnerability that might affect something in their technology stack. So we investigate that further and then seek to either collect some indicators of compromise that we can pass for IOC hunting to our SOC, or we might support incident response teams. Say they've got a laptop and they've found all these different file hashes on there. We might investigate those and let them know whether they've been associated with any recent threat actor campaigns. You can use a variety of kind of skills for this. It could be open source intelligence, navigating the deep and dark web, even social engineering sometimes. So it's a really interesting field because attackers are constantly evolving and their TTPs are always changing. So kind of like with the military, you just want to constantly outmaneuver your enemy. So it's never going to go quiet, I don't think.
Can you just tell me what you do with TechVets as well? Just kind of paint that picture for me.
Yep, so in TechVets, I'm vice captain of the TechVets CTF team, Capture the Flag team. We hold or we participate in competitions throughout the year. It's kind of a team you can dip in and out of. That we currently have 24 members, but there's generally only between 5 and 10 participate in each event. In addition, it's just keeping an eye on the chat and seeing if anyone needs any support with anything, really.
James, have you got lots of Rhiannas or just one who does this role for you?
To be perfectly honest, there is just one Rhianna, and when Rhianna came on board as a volunteer not too long ago, actually, it was a great time for us to revamp the Capture the Flag team, and they've gone from strength to strength. And I think what they're really doing, which has been fantastic, is really drilling into that sort of military ethos that you get generally in the military, where there's a fierce, will to succeed, and people love competition, and the teamwork aspect where you're helping each other out. And they're bringing in new members as well, some really, really junior, who are able to then learn from others who are a bit more experienced. So altogether, really fantastic. Now, I mean, do I have more volunteers? Yes, absolutely. I rely on volunteers. I'm the only salaried member, full-time member of TechVets. And I have nearly 20 volunteers at the moment, all fantastic individuals, really, really gifted at what they do, specialising in various disciplines across cybersecurity or wider technology, which is fantastic. And
their job is to mentor people who are in the services, thinking of leaving the services and perhaps getting a job in tech. Is that right?
Yes, but we can rely quite heavily on the community in general for that. There's a lot of people who aren't volunteers who will give their time to help other people out. They'll dip in and out of various channels on our online forum and provide advice and guidance where needed. But our volunteers provide a number of different sort of key support mechanisms. One is CV reviewing. We have two teams. One is the Capture the Flag team. The other is the Hack the Box team. The former was 13th in the year in the UK towards the end of last year. Hack the Box team was 52nd in the world during lockdown 1. I also have some support at the leadership side of things with advisory and guidance and training as well. We have community instructors. The head of internal training, Jordan's really pulled a great team of people in. We've got the likes of Shaw, who's heads up threat hunting in Microsoft at Cheltenham. Fantastic people that we have who are willing to give their time, and this is really helping us to drive the operational side of TechVets forward.
Rhianna, can you tell me about a Capture the Flag event? I mean, it's captured my imagination. It sort of sounds like that 1980s film War Games. It's got everything going for it. Just describe what it's like. I mean, is it fun, or is it stressful, or a bit of both?
It's a bit of both, really. It's a really fun and interesting way just to really build up your cybersecurity skills, even in areas that you're not working in, but just to give you that good underpinning knowledge and to build on it. And you don't really, you can take all the certificates and courses under the sun, but unless you actually put it into practice, you don't develop your skills any further. And this is a great safe environment for you to kind of mess around with and play with all these different techniques that you could use. There's a couple of different types of CTF. So you can have attack defend, which is where you've got two teams. You're both trying to defend your network while simultaneously hacking the other network. And you've got Jeopardy style CTFs, which is more what we do in TechVets. And that's when you have a series of challenges, a set amount of time, and you will be, those challenges will cover a range of topics. It could be digital forensics, cryptography, reverse engineering. So it's really varied. And the great thing, like James said about our team, is you can come in with little to no skills, and we'll just work to help each other out. We've got a real reverse engineering guru in our team, and we do knowledge shares quite frequently between the actual events. We'll come together and we'll just do a knowledge share during the week and see if someone can teach us something about something that they know a bit more about. So it's a really collaborative team.
Additionally, Charlie, what I would add is there are also some really quite important CTFs. Trace Labs put on an open source intelligence capture the flag competition, in essence, and the whole idea of it is a real time exercise for finding real missing persons. Generally, I think they are based in the US, but they do these all over the place. We had a team that entered, with that real benefit of doing something for the good and benefit of other people, to genuinely save lives and find these missing people. So sometimes it has a real time edge to it as well.
So when it's a game, though, I mean, is it like the Hollywood version? Do you have that moment of ta-da where you shoo away the terrorist threat, or is it a bit more kind of in depth and clever than that?
Some of the challenges do get quite frustrating. You can spend about 3 hours on one challenge and maybe never get there, and you read the write-up the next day and you're like, I was so close. So it can be really frustrating, but when you do manage to finally get those challenges, it makes it all the more rewarding, and we all celebrate together on our Discord as well. So yeah.
Rhianna, I want to talk to you about being a woman in this industry because there aren't that many of you compared to men. But first of all, James, can you just describe to me how big this industry is, and what are the opportunities for people in it?
Crikey! I mean, it's massive. I mean, global cybersecurity market is expected to reach £208 billion sterling by 2027, which is an incredible figure. The increasing volume of cyber attacks, as Rhianna mentioned, this is a growing thing, and threat actors are evolving on an hourly by hourly basis. There's a growing need amongst organizations to minimize their security risks as well. And this is really driving the growth. And moreover, we have an increasing demand now for enterprise mobility with remote working, with the near term, the pandemic forcing business to have to make changes to what they're doing, and people working from home using their own home networks rather than the assured office ones. It's really increasing this threat. So cybersecurity is growing. More and more people using digital assets on a daily basis to run their lives as well as businesses means that this isn't going away. Additionally, within wider technology, you've got digital transformation, which has emerged as one of the biggest and most prominent strategies for public and private organizations over the past 5 years. Now fast forwarded by 5 years due to the pandemic. So again, we've got increasing need for people to have more technical skills, but to get into technology and cybersecurity as a specific industry. Recent advances in technologies like robotics and AI increasing use of big data are impacting roles, and they're going to impact the roles that are traditionally trodden pathways for veterans into industries and sectors where more manual labour is going to become automated over the next 10 years. Now, what that also does, though, is it creates gaps, and there's huge gaps in technology, and veterans can fill that.
Why particularly veterans? I mean, why are forces personnel peculiarly suited to this?
Well, first and foremost, that on the surface, it would seem that these gaps, these opportunities in digital and tech require just technical skills, but actually quite the opposite. Deloitte has done a number of research exercises to look at the skills of veterans, and one thing that's highlighted all the time is that the skills in demand across businesses are those that veterans have: leadership, teamwork, social perceptiveness, flexibility and adaptability, the ability to work in fast-paced and changing environments, definitely key in tech. Judgment and decision-making under pressure. There is a distinct lack of leadership outside of the military, especially in cybersecurity. Grit and resilience, and the ability to deal with change, and critical and logical reasoning. Many veterans have just recently served in one of the most complex and operationally challenging times of British military history. And all of these skills have been honed, as core competencies that the MOD develop within their people. And you add to that the benefits, that come from working in tech or cyber. Generally veterans like to go into jobs where there's a bit more of a higher meaning, a bit more of a purpose. And you're either going to be working in tech where you're creating solutions that change the way people's lives are run for the better, or you are protecting vulnerable people who are consistently being targeted by cyber criminals. Either way, it's a job with purpose. And there's lots of companies and organizations that understand this. We have more and more that are coming to me on a week by week basis, wanting to tap into the veteran talent pool. Your likes of Crest are working hard to support diversity and including a lot of veterans in what they do. We work with threat vendors, Recorded Future, Digital Shadows. We've got partnerships with Splunk, Fortinet. There's companies like 6.6 and Stripe IoT, pen test people, all of which are employing veterans quite regularly. And Kinetic is one of the big ones. They've got a relatively huge military network within their organisation.
Rhianna, women in this industry, though, are pretty badly represented. I mean, the figures I've got in front of me show me that KPMG says only 31% of people in cybersecurity are female, and only 14% of people coming through STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics courses are women. Did you find it difficult culturally to kind of getting into the industry? Is this a problem that's being addressed?
I can only speak for myself, not for all womankind. But personally, I didn't have any issues getting into the industry. The team I currently work in is over 50% women. I know other teams that are the same, and I think, that's much better than the ratio I had when I was still in the military. So while it's not 50-50, male and female in the tech sector, and women in STEM altogether is lower than men. There are some amazing women in the tech sector, and I think sometimes it would be better and more beneficial to focus on the women in the industry and the amazing work they're doing, rather than highlighting statistics and coming out with figures saying, oh, well, you don't make up 50%, so we need to work on that. Because I think that might put women off a bit. Obviously don't know, because I do work in the sector, so it didn't put me off. But if you're saying to women that they're in the minority, you're always going to be pushing against all the men, they're always going to be surrounded by men, and it's going to be really challenging, that might put some women off. So if we put a positive spin on it and say, look, there's all these women out there who have done amazing work, and hold them up as some kind of inspiration, I think that might be a better way to get more women interested in it, especially young schoolgirls.
I mean, the fact you're here says that absolutely perfectly, but there must be some sort of barrier to going into STEM in the first place. Or do you simply say it's just a bad luck or a question of perception or something like that? There is no barrier.
I'm not saying there's no barrier. I'm sure women have experienced some discrimination along the way, but I'm in a fortunate position where I've not had to face that so I managed to get into the industry, I assume, as well as any man would. For someone, I think you probably have to speak to some of the women who chose not to join tech and ask them what their reasons were. Can't really speak for them. I'm sure there is some discrimination out there, but I think a lot of teams, a lot of companies have started to recognise that and are starting to increase the number of women they're recruiting. And it is really important that you have a diverse team, because it can just bring so many different perspectives to your team. So you're not all subject to the same biases. So having a diverse team, male, female, different ethnic backgrounds, different just upbringings, I think can bring a lot to a team and help you to counter those biases.
There are also an incredible amount of effort being put into this, and there are a number of programs that many companies and institutions have started running. I think part of this is an act of patience. It's allowing for, over the next 5 to 10 years to start seeing the benefits of a more diverse approach to recruitment and upskilling and training and attracting people from diverse backgrounds into the industry. Whilst it's not great, it just won't happen overnight. And you have organisations like Ladies of London Hacking Society, which have made great efforts to help encourage more women, and they've done fantastic stuff and have now chapters developing across the UK. Eliza May Austin, who's put that together, has really done some great work there. But it takes time. It really does take time.
I suppose what I mean is it's not discrimination of sort of old boys getting together and saying, let's keep the women out. It's more like discrimination of stereotyping and women perhaps feeling that maths is not for them. But as I say, Rhianna, you're living proof that's not the case. Can we move on to your new role at Security Alliance, and which you're moving to in the next few weeks, I gather?
Yes, the start of February I'll be starting there.
Is that a step up in terms of career?
Yeah, definitely. I'll be.
You have to say yes.
Of course. Yeah, I'll be a senior CTO analyst there, joining a very exciting and growing team. I'm really excited.
Have you been able to meet any of them in the flesh yet, or has it all been?
No, unfortunately not. It's all video Teams meetings, Zoom. Everything's been virtual for about a year for me now. So, yeah, I'm not sure when I will ever actually get to see them, but hopefully soon.
Are they getting? I mean, is the industry getting used to this Zoom lifestyle, or do you think they're relishing getting back into an office again?
I think we're probably one of the best industries that have managed to adapt the most easily. I think we're always using our laptops anyway. I was already working from home one day a week before all the lockdowns started. We're generally quite aware of the security implications of working remotely and how to do it properly and how perhaps not to do it. I think it's really easy, been really easy for the tech sector to adapt. I think the only thing everyone's missing is a bit of a human interaction. Now,
I wanted to talk to you a little about your military career, because you and James both have had military careers. So start with you, Rhianna. Who did you serve with and where did you serve?
So I served for 12 years. I got out last September. I started out as a vehicle mechanic in the REME, did that for a few years, and then transferred to the intelligence corps, just because I wanted more of a challenge, really. I didn't really enjoy being a vehicle mechanic. It was, you didn't really fix anything, you just changed parts. So after an operational tour with that, I decided I wanted something to keep my brain a bit more active. Transferred to the intelligence corps, worked as a linguist and intelligence analyst for the rest of my time, a variety of interesting roles and operational tours, and got some good anecdotes. But I think the exposure I got to the intelligence community while I was was invaluable, really, for my work now.
And are those colleagues then popping up in your professional life now?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of people who've since left or left before me, and you just keep bumping into them throughout the industry. Like James said, there's a lot of companies that are doing their best to recruit service leavers. And you always bump into someone, perhaps not physically at the minute, but I'm sure with the conferences start up again later in the year, hopefully we'll keep bumping into each other.
Now, James, you were injured in Afghanistan, and that led you into military intelligence, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, nothing to do with my intelligence. It was purely by chance. But yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was formerly an infanteer. I was a section commander on the ground on Operation Herrick 6. Clearly not quite talented enough and couldn't avoid the enemy stuff. So, but it was quite an odd time. I think I'd always loved the infantry. I'd been active as a kid and always into sports and the outdoors. And I had to have a total change of lifestyle as well as career. Initially, that whole I was upset. I was distraught, I suppose, that I couldn't play the sports that I wanted to play and couldn't continue my military career. But quite thankfully, I had some fantastic mentors. And when I started looking at the options, the what next, intelligence sprung up, and I threw my hand in, and it worked out incredibly well. I found a sudden passion for really working the grey matter and getting into some, as Rhianna said, some real challenging situations where, some complex problems to solve, and some fantastic experiences as well, actually.
Now, when you left, could you have done with a TechVets to help you out, to help you on to your next career?
I did. I was quite lucky. So one of my first ever commanding officer back in 2001 had his own company now, and one of the TechVets founders was chucked my way through that connection, and I joined up, and I joined as a member, which was enough for me to really focus my networking. I'd had a 5-year plan before I left, but I still was very much a generalist. So once I was a member, I was able to focus that into and realise that cyber threat intelligence, as Rhianna said earlier, it's in essence the cyber version of traditional intelligence. All the methodologies and the principles behind it are the same, and funnily enough, there's the same sort of countries that you may be looking at. And there was a lot of similarities. So I was able to network into a role as government digital services head of cyber threat intelligence, which was fantastic. But from that point onwards, I then realised that technical was not the way for me. I was already quite senior in role, and so I started volunteering and found it very rewarding. I found a new lease of life in a non-profit, and when the role came up for CEO, I took that both hands.
Now, a lot of people, we've established in this podcast that there's a natural progression from military intelligence to CTI, but people who leave the services often, miss the old days a little bit. Is there anything in your new life that you wish you could have from your old days in the forces?
Yes. First and foremost, there are so many ways in which the military career is fantastic. You've got a wonderful community of people around you. I'm very lucky that with TechVets I have that anyway. But it's a very secure job, and there are so many opportunities. And if I were to go back, I would have used so much more of my time in personal development, in training in my own time, and learning new skills. I would definitely have become a software developer, that's for sure. I think that's something that I wish I would have done. Coding, if only I could code. There's lots of stuff that you can get from the military, and I think that it's very safe. Conceptually, obviously, physically it can be dangerous.
Is that your big tip to anybody who's thinking of leaving and thinking of taking up a job in tech?
Look, I just think in general, I think anyone these days should be looking at how they can become more, certainly with digital skills, but they should be looking at how they can become more technically able, because nothing is going to change with the curve of use of technology. It's going to be everywhere. It's already touching every aspect of our lives. Even HGV drivers are using cameras rather than wing mirrors. So I think it's certainly an opportune moment now for people to have a look and see where they can upskill themselves. They need to invest time in good mentors as well. That's something that I did, which really, really paid dividends. Learning from others, sharing, having a sounding board, if nothing else. But definitely take responsibility for your own time. And don't do what I did and use so much of it needlessly on useless tasks. So much more you can get from time.
Rhianna, what challenges do service leavers face when they change careers, in your opinion? Is it what James says?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Make the most of the time you've got while you've got a year from signing off to getting out, so use that time wisely. And I think one of the big challenges for military personnel, if there's not an obvious route from your current role to something in Civvy Street, is just knowing where to start. That's why TechVets or something similar can be really useful, because you can just reach out and just say, guys, what are you doing? What's your day to day? What are you up to? What would you recommend for these skills? Or how can I improve my skills along the way? And it's really useful community to have, just to give you that starting point, to give you a good overview of the industry, rather than you get into a job that you think's perfect for you, or you struggle to get into a job that you think's perfect for you. You get there and then you realise it's nothing like you thought it would be, and your skills would be better served elsewhere.
James, Rhianna, thank you so much for joining me. Some real insights into the future direction of the UK's tech and cybersecurity industry, and it's been fascinating to talk to you about your military careers. I'm sure the advice and thoughts you've shared will inspire other service leavers to consider a career in tech. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to wish you, Rhianna, the best of luck in your new role at Security Alliance. For our viewers and listeners, you can find out more about TechVets and how it supports veterans by visiting techvets.co or searching for TechVets on LinkedIn. If you're a business owner or work for a company in the tech industry and want to find out how to get more veterans into your workplace team, drop James a message via LinkedIn. You'll find all the contacts you need in the description for this post. We'll be back in February 2021 with our next TechVets podcast. Thanks for joining us.